Kehlani dropping her second album proper. This is her fourth like major project, really though. Um, Also talks a lot about femininity and individualism on this album, as well as like isolation and
Mm.
distance and relationships. Her newest album, It Was Good Until It Wasn't, left me super impressed, and my Kehlani stock, I'm gonna buy as much as I can now because I feel like she's only gonna keep skyrocketing. And man, I gotta say, I just want to put it out there. It's already on our playlist, "Grieving," with James Blake. It's up there in my top 10 songs of the year right now. I think that
Oh,
track is just phenomenal, and we'll talk a little bit more about it, but uh, this was the vibe throughout. There's like this really light, airy sound throughout that Kehlani just kind of rides over, and this album fucking rocks. I think. How did you feel leaving it?
I liked it a lot. I'd say what stood out to me most of all, you know, 5 Kehlani projects in, is that it seems to show a sense of maturity, sense of growth from Kehlani, despite the fact that she already had really mature subject matter and lyrics already. But in this case, post pregnancy, having a child, post some public breakups and fallouts and beefs and things. I think Kalani has just kind of taken herself to a new point in her career and how she's thinking about things. And I think that the Sonics actually were just kind of darker and moodier than her
Mm-hmm.
past work. Yet you're still getting this really intimate love song more often than not. And the fact that she can still make that work in a good way with, I think, songs you can take apart and listen to or just vibe with the whole album, again, speaks to the growth she's had. Um, she's had a unique brand of R&B for some time, but I she has just a way about the way she expresses these kind of cutting lyrics. I think of songs like "Toxic" on this
Mm-hmm.
stood out, "Grieving." Um, just there's something about the way she expressed herself that I always really gravitate to, and it's kind of cool reading about how she put this album out. This was supposed to come out back on April 24th, and uh, her label uh, Atlantic basically said, "Hey, you can put it out now if you want, but we're not really going to help you do a whole lot." So she had to do a lot of this DIY in terms of like videos and weird promo, which is just so strange to me that the label basically like gave her the bird in a certain sense. It's be like, "Hey, if you want to sacrifice your ability to promote this, then we're just not going to help you promote it at all." Like, I don't get that, but yeah, it's still sexy as shit.
Yeah.
That's Kalani's vibe, man. I fuck with it.
Yeah, even the album cover we talked about before is like, I feel like it kind of matches the album very well in terms of it's kind of like seductive, and it's Kehlani from the back, shorter shorts, booty kind of hanging out the bottom. Obviously, like on a hot day, she's like a little sweaty or wet, but it is kind of like toned down in a sense. You think about was it 2017 Sweet Sexy Savage, and how
Yep.
that was like this like sunshiny, glittery,
Yep. Much more
upbeat
poppy.
record. And this almost feels like she's kind of falling into like this traditional R&B sound while keeping, I think, some of that Kehlani uniqueness. And I think that speaks to the maturity you're talking about, where she's she's kind of making these songs that are timeless in a sense. Like there's no people name, there's really no references to specifics, but just kind of like these overall messages about relationships, what helps them work, what doesn't, what do you feel when they fall apart. And I think that's what Connie does so well. You already mentioned "Toxic," which I think is one of the best songs off here, but a song like F and MU really stood out to me. I thought there was one song, it might have even been, oh yeah, on "Toxic," like the way that the 808s and the chimes kind of overlay
Mm-hmm.
throughout. I loved how like she used some pretty creative uh, beats and ways of kind of structuring these songs that felt, still interesting, but you kind of just find yourself vibing throughout this whole record. And it's funny, I think "Grieving" stood out so much to me as a song because I really found myself like almost like melting into the song, and then when Kehlani comes back in to kind of pair up with James Blake at the end, I like literally jumped twice because she comes in so strongly. It like my heart like skipped a beat because James Blake had lulled me so much into like this like trance. It was crazy. I
Yeah,
thought that song was really well constructed.
that's funny. Yeah, yeah, definitely. Serial Lover really stood out to me. I
Mm,
thought that like the post chorus, I got bodies I'm gonna take to the grave. I got girls I want to give my last name. Just incredibly catchy,
yeah,
and that's kind of always been her vibe. Is she has this? It's not like boilerplate stuff, and that was kind of the biggest criticism of Sweet Sexy Savage was that Kehlani almost just leaned into the more typical mainstream pop stuff for that debut. When in reality, that's not what she's actually best at. It's more about this sultry, at surprisingly deep
yep.
R&B. So this
Sultry.
is really good.
Good word, Dave. Sultry. Check out Kalani's It Was Good Until It Wasn't, and also check out our Nowstalgia Best of 2020 playlist.